Computer's not unplugged because it'll shut off.
No, it's plugged in.
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Okay, Gary, I'm sorry.
Okay, we expect to be joined by additional members of our council here shortly. And we'll go ahead and begin. And if we could start with a roll call. Matt, could we start with you? And we'll just come around. Did I catch you at the right time?
My mouth. Matt Taylor.
Mayor Bruns of Orem.
Marcy Strand, Orem City.
Margaret Black, Orem City Council.
Brent Sumner, Orem City Council.
Jamie Davidson, City Manager with the City of Orem.
Hans Anderson, Orem City Council.
Tom McDonald, Orem City Council.
Wayne Parker, Chief Administrative Officer with the City of Provo.
Gary Garrett, Provo City Council.
Gary Winterton, Provo City Council.
Dave Sewell, Provo Council.
John Curtis, Provo City.
Bryce Mumford.
Louise Jorgensen.
Great, thank you. And Councilmember Winterton, Gary Winterton has offered to our invitation.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful this day for the opportunity we have to meet as community leaders. We're thankful for the communities that we live in, the wonderful people that reside in this area. We ask you that thy Spirit will be with them. Please bless us as leaders, that we will be able to continue to make these communities great and fulfill the needs of the people who serve. Father, at this time, we are also grateful for the lives of, specifically of two of our residents, Becky Lockhart and Stephen Hales. Grateful for their examples, for their diligence, and their willingness to contribute to our community and the lives of the people that they have contacted. We ask thee that thy Spirit will be with their families, that they will be comforted, and that the friends of these families will also know that thou art watching over them. Father, we're thankful for their service and their contributions. We ask thee that thou wilt watch over and be with us on all that we do. We're thankful for opportunities that we have. We pray that thou wilt help us to make the most of it. We say this in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Gary. I was visiting with some of you earlier, and I think we all share in the same shock and sadness at Stephen Hales, Mr. Hales' sudden passing yesterday. And our thoughts and prayers have been with his wife, Callie, and her family. He was with us in our council meeting just 2 weeks ago and participated for the full 5 or so hours with us in work session and our council meeting. And he's been fairly private and quiet about the situation and his condition. It was evident that he was weak, but he stayed with us the entire time, and we were just surprised to see how advanced, learn about the advanced stage of his illness. His family did, through Randy Christensen, who they've been working with to get details out to the public, they did share this statement with our executive director this morning. So it's just a little additional information, confirmation that he died of brain cancer. Provo City Councilman Stephen Hales, beloved father, husband, father, friend, and colleague, has died of brain cancer at the age of 55. His passing comes only 2 months following medical diagnosis of the illness. Although his death came unexpectedly, he was at peace and surrounded by family as he passed Wednesday morning, January 21st at his Provo home. So we share in the grief of the family. We expect to have more information related to a service, and that will keep us posted on, and we're happy to circulate that to everyone that was posted to the public. If we could, if you would join me in just a brief moment of silence as we consider Stephen and his family. Thank you. I don't know if any Mayor Curtis or Kim, if you've been in touch with Callie. I know you've been close to the family. If anyone would care to offer any other comments based on exchanges they've had.
I had a brief discussion with her, and I think it's very fair to say that they're very proud of Stephen's service in the city council. Kelly mentioned that the day before the council meeting, he thought about coming, and then said, I don't feel well, I don't think I'll go. And she was very touched by that and wanted to emphasize his commitment to the council and to serve the city.
We certainly felt that, and he said after his first treatment that he intended to continue in his service to family and church and community and his work. That just made his passing all the more unexpected. Kim, did you have anything?
Yeah, just to add to that, you know, he shortly after his surgery, he actually attended not only the council session but the work session as well. The long day for, you know, for those of us who hadn't been through what he had, and just shows his loyalty and his determination to just keep going and doing it until he passed away. So just a really great man and good friend and a great colleague.
Well, what we like about this meeting, I think we meet about quarterly, and we take turns hosting the meeting with Orem City. The opportunity to come together and share updates and express thoughts, share ideas, things that we're working on, particularly those things we have in common. And it's as you all know, it's a public meeting, and we always welcome members of the public. We haven't designated as, frankly, generally, we haven't had a lot of public attend. We haven't typically, as part of this agenda, identified a place for public comment. We're always glad to provide those opportunities at our regular council meetings. We have public comment just at the beginning of our meeting, and we probably have the same at your meeting. So we'll continue with our agenda. We wanted to start by, this is not on the agenda, but considering this is our first meeting of the new year as a combined group, we just wanted to share Provo City Council by the numbers. And this is something that our new communications specialist tracks and puts together for us. It just gives you a feel, kind of a dashboard for our council that she put together. So you can see from this, we, over the course of the year, had 44 work sessions, 25 formal meetings, 256 public comments. We passed, anyone else would like a copy? 34 ordinances, 78 resolutions. We had 3 new council members join our ranks last year. And the top 4 items that kind of rose to the surface as the places where we spent our time, probably had the most public interest and comment, include our bicycle master plan process, bus rapid transit, the first neighborhood plan completed, that was in Joaquin, and then the purchase of Rock Canyon, which also is fairly public. So those were kind of our top 4 issues of the year. And then Karen has helped us enormously with social media over the course of the year. 100% increase in the Twitter account, and you see the increase there in Facebook as well. What we don't see is the number of Twitter followers, because 100% can be.
Well, we're gonna make clear that the administration's following dwarfs the council still.
Okay.
But we are making steady progress.
We're getting there.
We have about 500 Twitter followers right now. I'm not sure where the.
We can only hope and aspire to. The mayor has accomplished with them.
It's all in the socks, guys.
I think we're getting there. And you see here reference to the blog views and YouTube views as well.
That wasn't good.
So a shout out to Karen for helping us track this, and of course next year will be even more meaningful when we have some comparative data. So we wanted to share that with you as well. You'll see on our agenda today an update on bus rapid transit. on the University Mall. And then just to share some thoughts relative to the upcoming legislative session, what items might be of common interest. These are the things we wanted to talk about, and any other items that you might have brought to the meeting as well. As you know, we passed a resolution, I want to say in September, in support of bus rapid transit. And we thought it might be a good time at the beginning of this year to get an update from our friends at UTA. Janelle Robertson and Gray Turner are here. And so that we could kind of see how things are progressing and then share any thoughts or concerns we have about that. So we'll turn the time over to Janelle. Gray.
So I kind of have just a one-sheet update on the status of, on the status of the BRT project. As you know, we've been moving the project forward and completing. Oh. We've been working to complete the revised environmental document based on the changes that were made from things we heard from the citizens. And so we've been working on that. We've been working on the application to get the federal grant to hopefully fund half of the cost of the project. I kind of just highlighted the 4 main things that have been going on. The Small Starts Grant, we submitted all the documents to them in September, and we went back and forth with them for a while on comments and questions about our application, and we made all the comments, addressed all their issues, and as of October 30th, all of their application was complete. FTA, we spoke with them last week, or I guess it was this week, a long week, and they have made their recommendation as to whether or not to fund the project. We believe that they have recommended it, but how it shakes out in the federal budget is another question. Hopefully the first or second week of February, FTA will publish their annual report, and we'll know whether or not we're going to get a grant, or if we'll be getting it in multiple years, or 1 year, or how the funding of the project would likely work. Does anybody have any questions about the grant application or? Okay. So the environmental assessments, we are, it's out for public comment right now. It was published January 5th, and it will be out for public comment until February 7th. We've received about 30 some odd comments on the environmental document. It's actually fairly positive. Usually we only hear negative comments on an environmental document, but probably half of them are in favor of the project and just have suggestions or concerns that they would like addressed. And so we'll address those comments in what we call the FONSI, which is the finding of no significant impact with the project, to kind of outline what the concerns are and how we might address them as the project moves forward.
Janelle, remind us where that document is. Is that on? Would we go to your website?
Yeah, so I can, it is on our website. There's a link. The project itself has its own website, and people can view the document there. It's also in various places in the city. It's in the libraries of Provo and Orem, the engineering offices. It's at our Timpanogos office. That is also listed, but I can send that. It was in the newspaper that advertised where it could be.
What's the exact reference to your website?
What's the exact reference?
I think it's provo.orem.brt.org.
If you do Provo Orem BRT and then environmental assessment or EA, just Google it and it'll bring it up.
But I will make sure we'll send you the link so that you have that.
Does that have on it the widening of the roads, the corners, everything? Is that all on there now?
Yep, we have all the right-of-way acquisitions are documented in that document, and as an attachment to it as well, there's a set of maps that kind of overlay what a roadway would look like, on an aerial, so that you can kind of probably can use.
So that's both Orem and Provo. You've got that all laid out.
The entire area, what it would look
Parkway
like.
and all that.
The amount of design that we do at this stage, we don't have a lot of details of landscaping and that kind of stuff on it yet, but that would be coming in the next phase.
Is the widening of the road on the map then?
Yes, the widening of the actual roadway is on there, but it's just a matter of, replacing landscaping and all that kind of stuff, and how that's gonna work isn't detailed in that just yet.
What we've got is we've got an aerial photograph that we've overlaid the design.
Actually, I
so you
have
can
an
see the
example
new
right
lane
here.
configurations and the left turns and the right turns and where the dedicated lanes are. So that's all on top of the existing aerial, so you can see what the new configuration would look like.
I don't have it available. We could go to the website, I suppose, if we have access, and we could kind of pull it up, but this is an example of what it looks like. It shows the widening of the roadways, and this is University Parkway. Shows where the new outside sidewalk area will be. The right-of-way lines in there. So
Okay, but this is on the website. So
yep, it is on the website.
What's this outside line here? Is
That would be the right-of-way line and sidewalk area. So we haven't determined exactly would the sidewalk be here or would it be on the inside. But in order to accommodate a sidewalk, we know it needs to be about that wide.
So we think we've got it behind you now, Janelle.
Okay. Yeah, that's the website. Let's see, does it have the updated color map? Oh, that's the working group
This
stuff.
is
This is the other, yeah. This is the other website actually.
Is the wrong website?
No, that's right.
Well,
That's,
where's it at?
No, that's,
So there should be
That's
a
it.
link
Just
to the
scroll
actual
down.
document here.
if you scroll down.
Go down to the
there's
very
all
bottom,
pieces.
it's all there.
Go up, right. Keep going.
Oh, there we go.
Click on those.
Those
Oh,
are
no,
all
that's
The
pieces
blue
right
Oh, there
part
it
right
is.
there, you can click.
So on Appendix A is the proposed design.
that's where I can find these maps?
Yep, that's the exact same thing as that right there. When we do an environmental assessment, we don't, we kind of clear an area. We don't clear the exact, design.
It's a big document.
So,
Maybe, Janelle, it would be helpful to note, this is the proposed design, and so there's now a comment period available. Individuals have particular concerns.
right, yeah,
So
exactly.
this is not final
no,
until
this
the
is not
FONSI is
final.
issued.
Yeah, this is the proposed design of the project, so that we could get an idea of what the impacts would be. Some of these are just areas where the bus is just running with regular traffic, so there's, nothing to see on the map. as
We go
far as
back to the very
construction-wise.
first part that you had up that sort of gave the
This-
overview.
That one, right there.
Yeah.
So each of those numbers represents the sheet
I
of the
see.
area, so
You
that
can
you
click
look
on
at
it
the
for more
sheet
detail.
and see that area that you're concerned about.
Okay.
This is 9 piece, total 9 piece.
Sheets 27, 28, 29, and 30 would have 900 east on them.
South would go back to University Avenue,
Yep, down
37.
7th, yep, and then down University Avenue, and then over to the Intermodal Center.
So does this phase not go over to East Bay?
It does actually,
East-
down there,
that's East
48,
44.
47
Okay.
goes, loops all the way
Okay.
down to
Is
the
that
Bay area.
Novell? 748 Novell.
Okay.
And you said you can click on the squares and have.
Oh, no, you
No.
can't, you have to go to the
I'm
page
I'm
number.
trying to.
Yeah, no, you
Like,
can't.
this is not.
That would be
Oh.
awesome,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
Where's your train?
So, the Provo
Provo
train
Hill.
station is right here,
Okay,
and then the Orem one is further north on the map.
okay, so this comes right to that then. Okay.
So the east-west would, 30, 34, 33 is Center Street,
700 North.
700
or
north, yeah.
700. Oh, yeah, I see Center Street now.
Is there any other questions about this? The next thing that we've been working on was the design, which is what you see here. We completed the plans for the preliminary design in October. And we have an RFP out right now for a designer that then would continue on with the design. And if we get a FONSI on the project, then they will continue to work on the design efforts for the project jointly with UDOT. So UDOT and UTA are hiring the consultant as one participant. Members of your city staff of each or Provo and Orem are on the selection committee for that designer. So they are also going to obviously be very heavily involved in the design of the project and the selection of the next designer.
Is that Dave Graves from Provo, or who's it from Orem?
Pardon? Is that Dave Graves?
Is that Dave Graves?
Provo?
That's on that committee?
I do it from Orem.
So many development services and so all good.
I don't know whether or not I'm supposed to say who's on the selection committee. So.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That's all right.
This is just new to me, so may I ask
Yeah.
some questions?
Yeah.
Well, University Avenue, will there be double sets of tracks, one set of tracks? How will they move? Will there be places for them to bypass one another as one comes one south and the other goes north? Or will they have to be regulated so they never pass each other?
The design as it is right now, and if we can actually scroll to one of those sheets, you can see there'll be two proposed BRT lanes in the center of the road, and then the auto lanes will be on the outsides of those lanes. And right now there are two so that they can pass each other wherever they are. Where are we at?
Looks like
About
37,
38.
What's
Pretty
that?
much like Fourth South and Salt Lake City.
It would be kind of like that, yeah, where the BRT lanes are in the center of the road, kind of like how the tracks are, and the stations are in the center.
So thank you for your question and thanks for the clarifications. And I think in order to get through the entire presentation and comments, we're going to have to leave the discussion between the councils at this point and then open up for public comment at our next council meetings, respective council meetings. Thank you.
I'm happy to answer any questions you have after the meeting. The other things we've been working on were agreements with the cities and with UDOT and the ILA with the county to fund the local match until UTA can pay the bond back was signed on December 3rd. So that was kind of the last piece that FTA was looking for, is that, you know, we have a commitment of local funds as well. So that was the status of that. I know there's been some question of what's going on with that, but we're working to make sure you know, everything's going as needed. And then we'll also have agreements with each of the cities. We don't sign those types of agreements until we actually have a bond, so that we don't prejudice the bonds. So we're working on those. We have drafts of those that have been going around, and then they will come to you for final sign off after we receive the bonds.
Are those agreements for the use of the street?
They're for a whole bunch of things.
Okay.
Yeah, there's use of the street. You know. Yeah, there's a lot of impacts, you know, when the city can get into our right of way, there's a variety of
Some
things
real
that we agree.
variety of operational issues.
Okay, so it's referring to part of the local match. The idea
In terms
part
of
that will be
value,
used
the
as
value of the lanes, right?
And that will be part of that
Part of that
whole
omnibus
agreement.
Those are kind of the main things that are going on. Right now, we're just kind of waiting to hear from the feds over the next few weeks. Christmas is coming late, so we'll see what we hear from them.
There you go.
Is I guess I should know this, but are they still on an every 3-month cycle as far as the budgets go with trying to budget? I mean, is there a definite time where this would be budgeted? Sorry, maybe you already said that.
When it would be, well, and that's what we don't know yet. We need to find out. You know, they make a recommendation for funding a project, but
if it
it's
makes
kind
the
of like
president's budget or not, I guess is what I'm asking. Do they know? Do they have a time frame?
We'll find that out when there's 3 different ways they could possibly fund the project. We don't actually know yet whether we would get a one-time grant or if we would get grants over, 3-year time frame, or, however, it's kind of like how, the city staff submits a budget for all the stuff they want, and you guys have to kind of sort it out and say, here's how we think we should fund this. That's kind of what we're waiting to hear from them. So this is how we think we will fund your project.
Is there a problem if it's funded in increments?
We would just have to work it out with the local match and with UDOT and their contribution to the project, figure out how we can, if it's over, 3 years, then we may have a different construction strategy. But, we'll have, once we know how the fund money is flowing in, then we can make those decisions.
Any other questions for Janelle or Gray? Gray, anything you'd like to add?
Nope, I'd say it's, we're just, working, we're waiting for the federal funding, and we're getting everything else in place, so as soon as we are in, running with it.
Yes. And Curtis, if there are some guests who would like to ask more questions, we're happy to provide a room with Janelle right now.
Yeah, we can do that.
Why don't you,
Surely.
if anybody's here and wants to follow Janelle, we'll find your room where you can ask specific questions.
Is that other room available?
Right, yeah.
I think so. Thank you, Janelle. Thank you, Gray.
Is she gonna lead the sheep now?
Yes.
Go down the hallway to your right.
I'll go.
Yes. No, there's light.
Our next item, we were interested to get an update and note the progress of the project. Is it called University Place?
Yes, that is correct.
University Place. And it's looking like it's making great progress.
So it's making excellent progress. We're going to have a groundbreaking on February the 5th at 11 o'clock at University Place of the new office building out front, in front of Macy's. I just drove by there on my way down here. They're already 6 feet down in the ground and going further. So that will be a 4 or 5 story office building going up. We have 3 brand new restaurants going up over by Carrabba's. So we have Starbucks, we have Chipotle Grill and Potbelly Sandwich going in there. We have RC Willie is almost complete. I think they're supposed to move in about April. A very large facility there. In March, they're going to start to tear down Mervyn's, where they will construct a 3.5 to 4 acre park that will be beautiful, along the lines of a quality of a Disneyland park. Not to put a name to it per se, but they're going to have water features, outdoor theater. They're going to have waterfalls, walkways, trees, waterway. It's going to be beautiful. Then in February, they're tearing out the flooring of the mall. Right now, I don't know if you remember, but it's a light cream and a little darker brown mix. They're going to tear all that out and put in a glossy white tile floor.
Throughout the mall? Or just
throughout the entire mall, and they're going to paint the rest of the mall white on the inside. They're also putting in new LED signs, which you may or may not have seen, but they're about the size of a door, and they're run by computer, and they have beautiful things. You can run the lights like water flowing. They can advertise things in the mall. They'll have that throughout the mall. Apartments are being built, about 400.
And those are the ones on the
northeast side. And they're moving forward. Also, a new road will be put in north of where Mervyn's was, connecting 8th East and State Street. There'll be 2 new stoplights there. So the stoplight in front of Macy's may be taken out. I believe that's the plan. And so a traffic flow will go through there. They'll be beautiful. As you're probably aware, with the CDA, we have a $510 million investment program going forward. So there will be a new hotel, something along the lines of a Marriott. There'll be 5 new office buildings, 4 new parking structures, multiple new restaurants, the park. There'll be a tennis club. There'll be an area, they're looking at an area for senior housing north of Costco along 800 South. And they're moving very quickly, actually. It's about an 8 to 10 year project, but they already have the first office building. They have signed leases for that. And the building's going to be beautiful. I think you've probably seen pictures, but different than probably anything you've seen in the valley so far. And
The apartments are in releasing stage also. They're, some of them are being.
I don't know the answer for that. I'm sorry. I do know they're Class A apartments, and they're being really well built, and you know, they look great. So you have construction going on all 4 sides of the mall right now, and so it's really interesting to see, and I think people are really excited. They had hoped to start in October, but through the discussion of the CDA, they've waited until January, and waited until the traffic has died down, you know, shopping and so forth. But their goal is to get that office building up before the next shopping season, and so they're moving forward, and we're excited, and we'd invite all of you to come to the groundbreaking on February the 5th up there at 11 a.m.
Just on the west side then, or the north side?
It'd be on the southwest side.
Okay, southwest side.
Yeah. So, I don't know, does the council want to mention anything else?
One thing, the park will be programmed, and so there'll be all sorts of activities out there. The program director will be over that, so a lot of stuff going on.
Exciting.
And to that point, they want to make it a community center,
Right.
and have the community work with the program director. So that's a very strong point.
Sounds exciting.
It is.
It's not often you have someone willing to invest $500 million into your community. You know, the Woodburys did mention that they had multiple cities contacting them, that if Orem did not see that this was a good project for them, that they would be happy to put their money somewhere else.
Was that you?
Provo.
You sent him some socks.
But we're very thankful. You know, that's been a driver for our community for 40 years. We hope it will be a driver for our community for another 40 years. And 40% of our sales tax comes along the University Parkway. 25% comes from the mall. The largest sales tax producer is Costco. And so that's a very, very important area for us. And of course, the connection between State Street and University Parkway is, I believe, one of the busiest within the state. And we're looking at ways to help with traffic. But certainly BRT would be one. It would take a lot of traffic off the Parkway. 2 is the way that the new road will be on the north, and with the parking garages. That will help, and the parking garages will be beautiful. They're looking at covering them so you really won't even realize they're a parking garage. So,
Thank you.
so we're excited.
Yeah. Any questions? Comments? It's great to see that kind of development happening in our valley.
Yes.
We're encouraged by that, and by things that we are seeing in downtown Provo as well. Restaurants and the projects on the books.
How's your building project going on Center Street, the one that's going to be multi-level?
63 East. Is that the one by Los Hermanos?
We just got an update on that. I think, was it, Mayor, did you provide that on Tuesday with an update on some of our downtown projects, or was that?
No, so there's one on the east side of the university, one on the west side. Are you thinking of the one on the east side?
I was thinking the east side.
So 63 East by Los Hermanos.
But tell us about the one on the west side.
Well, I'll tell you, the one on the east side, they actually had leases signed for January. And if you look at that building, you can see that was pretty aggressive. But a lot of that is pre-leased, and that's going to be a fun, exciting building.
How will it be?
Is it Wayne? It's 6. Yeah.
I think it's 3 stories on Center Street, and then there's a step back.
So when was the last time anybody built a building in that block?
Bird March, no.
1956 or?
See, the county and the state across the street.
Across the street.
I mean, on that side though. on
It's
the
been
north side.
been a long time. Directly across from the city center, we've had a project underway for a long time. You just can't tell because they're slow. Cowboy Partners is building a apartment complex directly across from the city center where our courthouse was. And that, we're hoping that starts anytime.
First North?
No, it's on Center Street.
On Center
It's
Street,
Center
so it
Street.
will replace some of these.
The buildings have already been torn down. So I don't know if you know where our Justice Court was.
Single-story brown brick building.
It's an old.
Used to be Walker's
thing.
I know where Walker's Bank was.
Yes.
My mother worked there.
Yes, so it's on that spot, and I think that's 40-plus units right there.
Okay.
It'll be built, and we have much like you, we're seeing a large residential component in the city into apartments. There's another one down by the TOD that's going rather quickly. It's up and framed.
How many new apartments?
105 on that.
105 and so on.
Oh, how did you say
It's
the
called
Cowboy
Startup
Partners one is?
Cowboy Partners is
140.
It's 5 stories.
5
Five
stories.
stories?
Yeah. Same as, we give projects.
So we're kind of in the 5 to 6 story range for these
Yeah,
buildings.
and on Center Street, we wanted to have kind of a setback before they go up. On University Avenue, you'll see them going up straight like Zions and Wells Fargo building.
It's fun. It's nice to see good activity going on.
Just a lot of activity.
Can I ask about the
Midtown Village?
Yeah, Midtown, yes.
So Midtown was purchased by a development group towards the end of last year, and the development group is fully funded for the entire purchase, the payoff of the parking garage, and the build out of the entire complex. So they're working on the south tower right now on the inside, electrical, carpet, wallboard. In 6 months they should have that completed, and then they will start on the north tower. That will take about 18 months. They will have a reception center up on top, and they'll build 2 west towers and a amenity package, a clubhouse, and so forth. The idea is it's being turned from condos into apartments, luxury apartments, and it's a mixed-use facility, so it'll have retail and office with it, restaurants, and so forth. And we're excited because they are fully funded. They already have the full commitment to complete the project in its entirety. And they're a very good group. It's called the Ritchie Group. They have successful projects behind them, and we kind of feel like that'll be an anchor, and the University Place will be an anchor, and we're doing a visioning project on State Street together with you, where we're looking at trying to improve State Street, beautifying it and changing it. So a lot of good things are happening. We also have 1,100 new apartments going up in about 9 different complexes.
The one across from Miracle Bowl and the sports
Yes.
store on State Street, and that's, what is that one called?
I do not remember the name of it.
That's a large, looks like a large.
Orem Legacy. Yeah, it's
Is
about
that mixed use as well?
150. This is not for student housing. This is all Class A apartments. Going after the millennial group, I don't know if you've looked at the statistics, but the Generation Y, which is the millennial group, will outnumber the baby boomers in 2 years. And that is huge. And that particular group buys 30% less vehicles than the baby boomers bought. They don't really want snow shovels and lawnmowers, and they want their ability to move where and when they want. And so the dynamics are changing. If you look at Marriott hotels, they're bringing on a brand new brand of hotel specifically for the millennials, where the rooms are smaller, they're more highly technical, and they have bigger group area for coming together downstairs.
We call those hangouts.
Yeah, hangouts. There you go. So the dynamic is changing with the younger generation, and we feel like what the mall is doing on their mixed use and what Midtown is doing on their mixed use, and these apartments are actually targeting that area. And you're having the same thing within your city as well.
So that was not mixed use, the one back across from Miracle Bowl.
No, that
Those are
is
Class A
strictly,
apartments, you said.
but that is going to be a really beautiful complex. They're going to have, for example, just to get in the building, you're going to have a card and run by a security monitor before you can even get into the stairwell. and they're going to have a really beautiful buffered area. I don't know if you noticed, but they don't have just a typical fence out front. They've put a wrought iron black fence on a cement base all the way around, so you can tell right off this is going to be a high-class facility. So we're pretty excited about that. There's we have one there. We have one going in behind 7-Eleven on Center Street. We have one up on 920 North. We have another one just south of Midtown going in. There's another one going in that's pretty exciting, which will be on Center Street over by the freeway as you come up the hill across from the Realtors building to the north, the old mink farm area that's been vacant forever. That's a mixed use where they're going to have commercial partially along Center Street and then apartments. But those apartments, they're going to have like a dog run. They're going to have a great amenity package. They're going to have a park area. And also to that point, they're going to put out a very large rock area out front facing the freeway with a waterfall and flowers and a big sign and lights that says "Welcome to Orem." So it'll be kind of neat.
Great, good things happening. Thank you for this update. Very helpful.
And the last one that we can't forget, Nordstrom's Rack is coming.
Yeah.
So right across from the mall. 70% off your normal price. The women love it.
Yes, they do.
Will they have shoes?
Uh-huh.
I believe so.
Well, yeah, Nordstrom Rack, yeah, they have pretty much everything. Nordstrom just.
When do they? Do you know when they're coming?
Well, Outback Steakhouse is in the spot they want, so they're building a brand new building, which is a new design for Outback Steakhouse, by the way. It's one of the first ones in their system. They're building that out by In-N-Out Burger between there and Chevron, and then Nordstrom's Rack will take that area where they're at.
We wanted to spend some time also on, with the upcoming session just days away, on any items that might be of common interest to both groups. We, at the request of the Utah League of Cities and Towns, we considered a resolution to express support for transportation funding, for the ability of cities to control that fund. Did you similarly have a discussion with your council? And was that recently? You passed a resolution? Cameron Deal and Ken Bullock were down during our work session last Tuesday, and I think they reported about 40% of the cities that had passed, but a much higher percentage, maybe 80% in terms of population base.
50 out of the 200 so far, they expected more. Is that right?
I think they'll have a few more this next week or two.
Yeah, they expected quite a few to be coming in this week.
Matt and Corey, other legislative issues that
I
we
think
might
transportation's gonna suck a lot of the oxygen out of the room, so.
That's the elephant in the room. Gas
Dave,
tax.
do you think of anything that's?
Just another, in fact, Wayne and Corey and I have been talking briefly about dispatching services, and there is conversations being had at the legislature about the consolidation of dispatch centers within each county, and that was something that we're just beginning to work on here this week. And we'll come together next week and talk further as to how we might respond to a particular legislator who's anxious to move forward with the consolidation bill.
We've said every year that a lot of this is defense versus offense.
It is.
Correct.
I've said, legislatures in session, hide your kids and your wives.
Put a yellow tape around it.
I think the other one that I'm kind of watching is changes that are being recommended as it relates to new car dealers and changes within proximity, new dealerships within proximity of existing dealerships, and having more than one specific manufacturer's dealership within one county versus the other. Obviously, from a sales tax perspective, that's important to us as a city to constantly monitor how that might, or how these rules and laws might impact the city's sales tax. So that's also one that we're looking at as well.
How many dealerships do you have in Oregon? Do you know off the top of your head? At least a half dozen. 6 or 7
new car
major
dealerships.
Yeah, then you have the small ones.
And then obviously we have
Horse Motors and the other smaller ones.
pre-owned
Yeah.
dealerships as well.
There's also some talk about public safety legislation, and particularly body cameras.
Use of force.
Use of force. That could have a big impact on cities.
Water is always a topic of conversation as well, and I would anticipate that being the same issue also.
I had a question. Our police chief, we talked about this thing you were talking about state legislator wanting to have different communities have a central calling center or something. And he said he'd like to have our own, but I know he interacts with you people all the time because your people show up, your police, your emergency. How do we do it already, and how's what this state legislator pushing? Is that going to improve things, or has your police chief talked about wanting to change the way it is right now?
I think that Provo City is not adverse to having a combined center. We just want to run it.
You just want to run it. Well, that's kind of what I said.
I joke a little bit, but the point is we want to be able to control the quality of it, and we feel like our quality currently exceeds the county. And so if you were to force us to go with the county, you would force us into what we believe is an inferior level of service. And so I think that's the dialogue for us is how do we, yes, there are probably some economies of scale and there's probably some good things that could come, but how do we maintain a situation which has worked very well for a number of years for us? And it sounds like you feel the same way.
That's what our police chief said. He said, we answer the phone with the name and Orem City.
Yeah.
And he'd like to have that. He said he felt better about that than this centralized thing. So your police chief isn't excited about the county single call place either?
I'll be careful because I don't want to throw the county under the bus, but they're not doing as well as the cities are doing. And therefore, if we're forced to join them, the worry is that we would have those same problems that they're currently having.
I think the conversation, if I may too, centers right now, the discussion centers on, well, if we could all physically be in the same place, then it would be better. I guess the counter to that is, could we work together to standardize operating procedures? Can we operate parallel software systems that allow us to communicate better? Much of what we're doing is moving to cloud-based technology, and the whole idea is you don't need to physically be located in the same spot. Are there things that we can do to improve levels of service, yet still maintain a certain degree of local autonomy, where you as elected officials can determine specifically what's important to you as it relates to responding to calls for service and specific services that you provide from that dispatch center? For example, and I'm assuming it's the same in the city of Provo, our dispatch center services not only our public safety needs, but we have public works and other city operations that are serviced through dispatch center, which, for example, other, I guess you could say alternatives, don't offer that same level of service. So from our perspective, it's hard for us to suggest that there's a better option that's more expensive, potentially, that provides you a lower level of service.
Yeah, well said.
What happens now when we need you or you need us?
I think the cities work remarkably well, and you see it a lot with fire, where we'll need some extra help, or you'll need some extra help, and it's pretty seamless.
Well, that's what I've heard. I've heard the same thing talking with firemen. So I was trying to figure out where's the improvement.
The cities actually back each other up on a daily basis. So if there's a fire that's big enough, like the one over at Vivint, then Provo comes in and helps. Or if there's something down here, Orem comes in and helps. It works really well right now.
There's an interlocal agreement
we have mutual aid agreements
about
where
in our last session.
We agree to work with each other.
Well, that's why I want to figure out how the two run into each other, or how they complement each other, or how they improve what's going on. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I think you'd find, if you talk to the troops, I think they are actually very tight, and they feel like it works well. And there's a great deal of respect, I think, back and forth. And the moment somebody's needed, they're dispatched and they're
there.
They're there. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Hans, great question. Other items that were not on the agenda that we've forgotten that you'd like to raise, or by way of update or comment or input, Mark?
Thank you. I would just say I've really enjoyed and had the privilege of serving on the Utah Lake Commission with Mayor Curtis. And I'm excited about the potential of that natural resource in our community. I think sometimes it doesn't get enough attention for what the potential could be there. And I don't know if there's any legislative support going through to greater enhance the accessibility and a better usage of the Utah Lake. But just be aware that there's some good activity going on there that I think is very beneficial for the county. Orem and Provo share some shoreline there that's pretty accessible. But I just think it's a resource that deserves more attention if we can ever move it in that direction.
Our West Side Connector's going along well, and I think it'll also help on that with the development of that area.
Yes.
Thank you, Mark. Other questions or comments?
What was the latest on the diagonal reconstruction? Is there any, do we anticipate some slowdowns or delays in that?
Talking about
University Parkway. University Parkway.
I think it's all tied into BRT. And,
It is.
Yeah.
So that's actually a savings that would help BRT by doing it at the same time with UDOT. So
They're gonna add a lane on both sides, right?
right. That's planned as a combination effort.
And a new trail.
Well, we appreciate your attendance and participation today. It's always great to touch bases and reconnect. I forgot to mention that Hal Miller asked to be excused today. He wasn't able to join us. So if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn and see you at the next meeting.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Again, we're very sorry over what's occurred.
Thank you.